Should behaviorism shape educational practices? Behaviorism is known of all behavior that's acquired through conditioning. Behavior can be observed because it is controlled from outside forces rather than from internal forces. B.F. Skinner is known for his views on behaviorism and operant conditioning. He was one of the most celebrated psychologists who was often compared to Sigmund Freud. Should behaviorism shape educational practices? According to Skinner, most definitely yes. Learning and motivation to learn are caused by external forces. Through his studies, he concluded that when a type of behavior is followed by a positive consequence, it is more likely to occur again. This positive effect is a reinforcer. The opposite is, of course, negative. This negative effect is aversive and will cause a person to move or run away from something. Skinner's entire system and logic is based on operant conditioning. The organism, which we will call the student, is in the process of learning on the environment, which in ordinary terms means it is bouncing around its world, doing what it does. During this operating, the student encounters a special kind of stimulus, called a reinforcing stimulus, or simply just a reinforcer. This special stimulus has the effect of increasing the operant, that is, the behavior occurring just before the reinforcer. This is operant conditioning. The behavior is followed by a consequence, and the nature of the consequence modifies the organism's tendency to repeat the behavior in the future. Operant conditioning would mean that man can never be entirely free because he is controlled by external stimulus. Skinner notes that teaching was largely aversive because students studied to avoid negative consequences. However, if they were compelled to learn, it was because of positive reinforcers. Freedom of behavior is not internal. It is a result of literature. Literature of freedom comes in forms of books, pamphlets, speeches, etc. They are intended to cause people to act. The struggle of freedom is not because of an internal desire to do so. A quote from B.F. Skinner. Carl Rogers was an influential American psychologist and one of the founders of the humanistic approach to psychology. He was known for the person-centered approach, which was to understand personality and human relationships. Should behaviorism shape educational practices? According to Rogers, absolutely not. Humans are motivated intrinsically. Freedom is an internal meaning that exists within the person, regardless of outside forces. Outside forces may influence, but they do not control. A quote to consider from Rogers is, "Commitment to purpose and to meaning in life is one of the significant elements of change. It is only when the person decides, 'I am someone,' that change becomes possible." The commitment within is the reason the individual is functioning. There is an internal need to search for the answer or search for direction. The commitment is an achievement which brings purpose and meaning to the individual. A clinical example Rogers offers is the story of a woman with a series of people in her life that had failed to give her what she needed. She believed it was up to her to get an education. She could no longer depend on others. To relate these summaries to education in our classrooms, we can easily replace the word freedom with the phrase motivation to learn. Please consider the following prompts for discussion. Skinner and Rogers have different views on motivators. Who do you agree with? Assuming all of our students have some sort of internal motivator, is this enough to ensure quality learning? We have all seen or done different forms of operant conditioning. Do you have any examples that you could share that were effective? Any that were a disaster? Skinner states, if the struggle for freedom is to succeed, it must then be intensified. What does he mean by this? You have a student that is resistant to learning in your class. According to Skinner, what would be the reasons? What would Roger's reasoning be? I hope you enjoyed this issue, and I look forward to reading your thoughts.